make the most of it, because it's here 1 minute and it's gone the next. So I'm 59 now. It's 30 years since I played for England, but it seems like yesterday in many respects. But it's an eternity ago. And my career was only 2 minutes with the England team. So anybody that has that opportunity has got to grab it by both hands and make the most of it and bloody enjoy it.
Welcome to another edition of Pints of View with me, your host here today, Gary Goldsmith, at the Cavendish on New Cavendish Street, my local. Today, I'm joined by an absolute English cricket legend, but also a family member, a long-term friend. And we've got form, so this could go in any direction, and neither of us know really where it's going to go. We are quite prickly people. Let me introduce you first to John Morris, Cricket Supremo. Welcome, John. Thank you for coming. Shall we have a pint for Pints of View?
Well, I've got a pint, you've got a half. Something wrong already.
I might have been on the wine. This is my third one today. And that's non-alcoholic. So with all of these, dear sir, I've written you a poem.
I can't wait.
Well, you didn't have to, because I showed it to you earlier, just to make sure I got my stats and facts right, because occasionally I get them wrong. James, you're up for this one. Right, be prepared. We've also got Rob Lee in the room. Say hi, Rob.
Hi, guys.
Brilliant. Just to heckle. So, an intro poem. It's much more difficult when you've got him here as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like having an audience without an audience, though. He's there, but you know, he's not really there, is he?
No, he's pointless.
Pointless.
This is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
In whites adorned, on crease he stood, a cricketer true, with talent bloody good. From Derbyshire and Nottingham's pride to Durham's grace, John Morris shone in cricket's race. Bat held firm, his stance unique, run his gather, victory to seek. From England's cap to Ashes quest, his name engraved amongst the best. Generous.
Very.
Right, a tale was woven under Aussie skies, then that David Gower flight that made eyebrows rise. The Tiger Moth adventure, they did dare, a career breaker, oh what a pair. The annals of cricket, his lies forevermore. You can't make... fucking hell, literally.
You got there right to the end.
I know, right to the end. The annals of cricket, his lies forevermore. You can't match his run rate, the legend, the score. Brian Lara's bat, a record spun from John's bowling, his innings run. We need that story. From cricketer's field to bar embraces, John Morris's journey, a colourful spaces. Bats engaged for glasses of wine and bubbly, amongst many things, he runs a bar, lovely jubbly. I give you my ex-uncle-in-law, the cricket legend, that is Mr. John Morris!
Hey! And here we are.
Can I say, there was no need for that being that long.
You still did it quite well, I thought.
I hung in there, didn't I?
With one breath, it was quite amazing, to be honest.
Brilliant, literally, I'm a very generous lover.
When you've got asthma.
When you've got asthma. Oh, mate, so the things we can talk about today. We have to talk about cricket and your cricket journey. An amazing family. Your mum's amazing. Eddie was amazing. I know so much about your backstory, so it'd be nice to touch a little bit upon that. Love to say hello to Tom. But cricket is a game that's going through forever change. So I'd love to talk to you about the IPL. It's not ICL, mate. It's changed.
IPL.
I did get that wrong, didn't I? The future of cricket. Possibly just touching upon the fact that cricket is so elite and potentially racist and slightly becoming marginalised. Where will cricket go? And why isn't cricket using people like you to help reshape it?
Good question.
I would love to talk to you about your journey into wine.
Yep.
Because do you know what? I was desperate to say you wine a lot, but you wrote the wine bars and your love of a fine Chablis. But first, as a tale of the unexpected.
Very clever, very slick.
Can I just say, well, it would have been slicker if he wasn't, texting his mum.
You haven't used it all fucking day.
Oh no, yeah, I just thought, I saw you moving away, so I just want to give it a go. Right. Right. I mean, you're a really strong man, right? You're a man's man. except for when it comes to Ronnie.
My dog's come into it already, has he?
Yeah, we're going to start with a tale of the unexpected. You now have a dog that could actually grace the stage at X Factor. Bang, and he rolls down dead. Jump on my back. You get him to roll over. Talk me through this journey that you've now got. And as my daughter says, Ronnie's his best mate.
Well, yeah, he is my best mate, to be honest. He don't whinge at me, for one. Which is a big bonus.
You built him a lovely garden.
Yeah, I inherited the dog, if I'm honest. It was my son's dog, Tom. They had him for a couple of years. Tom's wife gets pregnant. Dad, will you have the dog for us for a bit? Well, 5 years later, we've still got him. He's great. He's a great character. He's a Jack Russell cross with a beagle, we think.
Can I just say, I'm just slightly worried about next time he says we do some babysitting and never comes
never
back.
Comes home. Yeah. we often think that as well. So Ronnie's been part of the family, but I was a professional cricketer, so I never had a pet, never had a dog or anything like that because we were away all the time. And I've got friends who've had dogs and never quite understood it, to be honest. For me, they were shit machines. You put food in one end, it comes out the other, and that was about it.
And you have to go around picking it up.
And you have to pick it up.
They own you.
Absolutely. But now I've had a dog, wouldn't be without one. He's great.
And talk to me about all this training, because Saluda said, you got to talk to him about training the dog.
Well,
so I mean, how many tricks does he do?
Oh, he's got a handful of tricks. There's no doubt about that. But I can't take credit for that. Sally's the trainer more than I am. I'm more the disciplinarian. You behave yourself, you do this when we're out on walks. He's got a bit of an aggressive character to him in some respects because he's a ratter. So unless you're a rat, a mouse or a squirrel, then you're in trouble.
I can't believe that your dog killed a squirrel. Oh, actually, no, grabbed a squirrel, ran into a tree.
And the squirrel got away, yeah. It was comical to watch.
Okay, so this makes way more sense because John's got the most beautiful wife in Sally, and she's trained you also. So we'll take that. And you can't say anything back to me.
Correct.
I'm absolutely gifted with that. Buddy, tell me about cricket and what it means to you and your whole story, because, from a boy from Crewe in a comp, not coming from one of those elitist backgrounds, to get into cricket, to get where you got to in cricket, to be an ambassador for cricket, how would you best take us on that journey?
It's a sporting family story more than anything.
Yeah.
My father was a footballer, played for Crewe Alexandra in the old 3rd Division North in the 50s and probably early 60s. Played a lot of games for Crewe. Loved his sport, loved his football, loved his cricket. But I was a footballer as a kid. I loved my football, wanted to be a professional footballer, wanted to score the winning goal in the FA Cup final, just like probably most kids did. And I came home from school this one particular day, 1976, I was 12. England are playing the West Indies. Michael Holding, the great West Indian fast bowler, is terrorising the English batsman. Now, I used to come home from...
How tall was he? Because he looked like a weapon.
Yeah, he'd be 6'1", something of that nature.
Oh, so not massive?
No. I mean, Joel Garner was 6'8", and he was a man mountain, but that was slightly after Mikey, although they played in the same team. But 76 was that era of... there was Andy Roberts, there was a young Viv Richards, Gordon Greenidge. They were great players of the era. And I'd never really watched cricket at all. I came home, 1976 was the drought. It was a red-hot summer, the outfields were bare. And Michael Holding ran in this one particular day and just terrorised English batsmen. And I just got watching the game. Remember, there was only 3 channels in those days,
Well, I was at Julian Payne's house, and we got this thing that came out in, I think, the Times, and you put down every bat, every bowl, and you collected the scores.
Oh, right, okay.
And I became a cricket spotter.
And I trains.
Yes.
Crewe. I should have known.
I know, but it was really random, the thing to do.
Yeah. Well, cricket, as I say, that's how it started for me. And I literally sat there watching the game, and I didn't go back to school. I forgot to go back to school. And my dad was working on nights. He worked for British Rail at the time. And I heard him getting out of bed, and I looked at the clock, and it was 3:15 in the afternoon, and I should have been back at school 2 hours ago. And I just got so engrossed in the game. He came down, and he just sort of looked at me quite inquisitively, as if to say, "What the hell are you doing here?" type thing. And then he explained the game to me. He started to tell me why these players were that position, and how the bowlers were doing, what the batsmen were trying to do. They were trying to survive more than anything, I just found it absolutely intriguing. And he took me to Crewe Cricket Club. where he'd played, which I wasn't really aware of. Played in Crewe's first team as a bowler. Put pads on, had a go, and probably didn't miss a ball, if you know what I mean. I just had a natural eye for hitting the ball, and I learnt the game. I learnt my game at Crewe Cricket Club, but I never thought about being a professional cricketer. And then all of a sudden, you get to a certain level. I went for Cheshire Schoolboys trials, got in the team, played with a young guy called Neil Fairbrother, who big Lancashire and England cricketer, great friend of mine. We played under 13s together and under 15s together. We got in the under 15s team a year early, both as batsmen, and we were sort of setting our way really to becoming cricketers because our results started to show. And I just got spotted by playing for Derbyshire, playing for a league select team, having played for Crewe's first team.
So I think it's amazing that actually being a year younger as a batsman, it's quite a physical sport. I mean, someone's chucking something really quite hard at you. Yeah, having the chutzpah and the balls to stand in front of it and go.
Well, cricket people who don't understand the game and who haven't played the game, it's a game of chess, but it's a game of bravery with chess as well, especially as a batsman.
We love Gary's World because it pays the bills. Business consulting, mentoring, growth coaching, and the ultimate recruitment. They're delivered by a genius and sup handsome legend who brings the fun and smirk to the business of work. It's me. Links in the normal show notes as ever. Call me.
So you've got to work all these things out, and part of the game is not getting hit, because by God it does hurt when it hits you, and I've been hit many a time. Maybe that's why I'm talking so much rubbish as I am at the moment. But the reality of it is, if that 5 3/4 ounce hits you, it hits and it bloody hurts. So part of the art of being a batsman, is not getting pinned, and that's what you learn. But you learn that by making mistakes, by being hit sometimes, and thinking, I'm not going to do that again, because the result is it's bloody painful.
So I remember that summer. And I don't think they had pads, they had knee pads, but leg pads, but they didn't really have any other armoury.
No.
That's right, the gloves.
Yeah,
pads, but then they were wearing the burgundy flat caps, and that was a different sport then.
When I started my career, we didn't have helmets. So, you had your pads, you had your gloves, you had your box, vital equipment, but no helmet. That came in sort of like in the early 80s. And I remember as a young professional, going to a ground and putting somebody else's helmet on and thinking, crikey, I don't know if I could wear one of these, because it just felt so really claustrophobic and weird. But I saw somebody get hit in the mouth not so long after that. And Duncan Fernley, who I was sponsored by, was the only guy importing these helmets in from Australia. And we all drove up to Duncan's factory and bought helmets from that moment on, and that was it. And it was a game changer in many respects.
Do you remember Mike Gatting getting smacked?
Yeah, where did it hit
nose? And they say, where did it hit you? It's like still to this day. I think it was like one of the funniest things to see.
That was in the West Indies. That was Malcolm Marshall that hit him on that, and exactly that. He top edged it, hit him on the break.
So how did you go from it being social, like a sport? Because a lot of people play football or tennis, but they never actually make that leap from being good at it to being, someone's going to pay me money to play this.
Well, again, I never had that anticipation that I was going to become a professional cricketer. But my father, because he'd been the sportsman he'd been locally, and I think that he'd been sort of stopped from becoming a better professional footballer rather than playing just for Crewe, because I think Wolverhampton Wanderers wanted to sign my dad when he was younger. But he hadn't done his national service. And so that got in the way.
Shit.
And so in his mind, this was a way maybe for me to do something that he didn't have the opportunity to do. And he sort of really guided me a lot as a young man about how to play and what we were doing and scoring runs. It's all well and good being getting a couple of here, a couple of runs there, and that's what club cricketers do. But to be consistent, and that's what he taught me as a young man. So I obviously had talent. I'm not suggesting that just because my dad told me how to do something. As I say, I probably had a net first time and didn't miss a ball. You hit every ball. And if you've got an eye for the ball, then you can work on the other things afterwards. And I think that was what happened. I was more natural than that.
So how quickly did it take you to get spotted? Because I'm guessing, we've got mates in football and they've got people out spotting. Do they have that in cricket?
Well, yeah, of course they do.
Are they looking at the angles and just looking at...
No, absolutely they do. But you've got to remember, I was from Cheshire, so not a first-class county. So I was opening the bat. So from 12 years of age to 14, 15 years of age, having not played the game, probably had a game with my mates on the park or something of that nature, but not any competitive.
It must have been really annoying because I bet you hit the ball a fucking wrong way.
Well, maybe so. But the reality of that was I went from not playing the game to playing the game, and within 3 years I was playing in Crewe's first team. Now, for 15, or 14 actually, I made my debut, but I batted number 8 or something of that nature. The following year, I got in as a batsman in the top order, and by the end of that season, I was opening the batting for Crewe. So at 15, I was opening the batting. I then got selected in the following year at 16, just about to leave school type thing, and played in the league team, which was a representative team from all the teams playing in the North Staff South Cheshire League, and we played against the Birmingham League. I think at a place called Nolan Dorwich in Birmingham. And I opened the batting, I still remember it, and I see Dave Cartledge every now and again, quite older than me, played a lot for Staffordshire in minor counties cricket. And we opened the batting together, and I got 60 or 70, and Phil Russell, who was the coach at Derbyshire, was at the game and asked me to come down for a trial.
Were you semi-pro at this time?
No, just enjoying playing cricket.
Funny, because if that was football, you'd be paid for something like that.
Yeah, maybe so, but a representative team was a way of, for me, getting spotted.
I'm not saying there's something, you'd always say yes to it.
Yeah, of course.
But it's just the disparity between the sports. It's something that just really gets my goat, that some sports get masses and masses of audience, but they don't.
Cricket gets a big audience, the second biggest sport in the world, but it doesn't get the financial rewards as other sports do.
There we go.
So, there's why? Well, there's a million reasons, I suppose, and I'm not qualified to give you probably any of them, but the reality of it is that I played the game because I enjoyed the game. I was going to play the game whatever happened. Was I good enough to be a footballer? Probably not. Was I good enough to be a cricketer? Yes. And that was the difference at that point in time. And I'd actually become an apprentice at Rolls-Royce. I'd filled in the forms to become a technician apprentice at Rolls-Royce in Crewe. I got selected. I signed a contract, and then Derbyshire came in and offered me a contract to play cricket. So I had to break that contract to go and play for Derbyshire.
So it's worth knowing because I've got quite a lot of history with Crewe because I married your niece. Sure. And we lived there, so I know Gresty Roads and Dario Grady, the football. And awkward, leave that one alone. So Crewe was really well known for principally two things: railway, and Rolls-Royce. Effectively, that was the two.
It was a railway town. That's what Crewe always was, and the fact that we had the other industry there, which was Rolls-Royce. That's what most kids from my generation went to school, ended up working at.
One
or the other, yeah, absolutely.
No, exactly. So you made it to Derby.
Yeah. Left school, my birthday, April the 1st, it's a bit of a giveaway. Left school and literally signed for Derbyshire on my 17th birthday as a professional for Derbyshire. So within 5 years, 5 years from not playing the game or starting playing the game, becoming a professional cricketer at Derbyshire.
And tell me about the game then. So what were audiences like? Was it predominantly 5 days, or was there short format then? Yeah,
county cricket was a big thing, but I think back then. But memberships were very important at clubs. Derbyshire wasn't a big county. Small membership, not particularly well supported team because they hadn't really won anything. They won the championship, I think, in 1938, and in 1981, my first year as a pro, they won the NatWest Trophy at Lords.
Okay, which is
big time. That's their solely second ever trophy they'd ever won. They'd been to a couple of finals, I think, prior to that.
So you changed everything.
Yeah, I didn't play in the game, and I signed for Derbyshire, as I say. So I was there on that particular day, but we had an older team. Barry Wood was captain, who'd come from Lancashire. Who must have been in his 40s. Jeff Miller, who played for England, Bob Taylor, who played for England, Mike Hendrick played for England. They were all playing in that team, but it was an older team. And again, I go back to my dad's advice. This was a county that he thought I could get into the first team quite early. And the following year, 1982, I made my debut. And then the following year after that, I became a regular in the team.
So what did you come in at?
Well, I was opening in those days, number one, number two.
So you debuted as an opener?
Oh no, I made my debut at Chesterfield against Pakistan, the touring team in 1982. I batted number 6, I think. I was just a young player. I was 18, so...
That's still proper.
Yeah, and played against Imran Khan and Abdul Qadir and Sikandar Bakht and proper cricketers of the day. It was Pakistan's test team, and I loved it. Don't get me wrong; it was hard work because I'd never really experienced anything quite like that.
Did you shit
before.
yourself?
No, I've never been one to feel that way. You always get nervous because that's the right thing to have. But I was never frightened of anybody. That was the one thing that I can say. It didn't matter who it was. They only bowled one ball. So, yeah, you're looking down the other end sometimes, looking at Ian Botham or Viv Richards standing at slip when you're playing against Somerset. But every county had great overseas players in those days. Yeah. But it was 3-day cricket. It wasn't 4 or 5-day cricket. So the games were a lot more condensed. And we always played a Sunday league game, obviously on a Sunday, which was a reduced 40-over game. So you played a lot of cricket. We played 28, I think, first-class games in one season, which is a huge amount of cricket. So you learn on the job because you never get a chance to practice. You're just playing all the time.
Tell me about the League of Nations, because I thought this was really interesting, because we were just talking just off camera about, we'll come back to the journey, but I just thought it was quite interesting to think about where the sport is today and how it might be perceived. But actually, you played in some teams that were people from everywhere on the planet.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, as I say, I was from Cheshire, so yeah, I'm an English lad, born and bred, but I wasn't born in Derbyshire. And Derbyshire County Cricket Club, they went through this change of direction of where we were going to go, and we had a really quite a young team starting to come through. Kim Barnett was from Staffordshire, from Leek. He was the captain of the team at 22. Which was unheard of probably back then. He took over from Barry Wood. But we had a lot of West Indian fast bowlers. So we had Michael Holding, the guy from 1976, who was brought in for 2 reasons, really. One was because we signed a young guy called Devon Eugene Malcolm, who's one of my best mates in the world. He's just a great lad.
Is he broad enough? Can the jacket ever fit him?
yeah, they needed to. Well, he was like Frank Bruno stripped off.
He's massive,
he's just a solid unit. He really looked like he could be heavyweight champion of the world. But he was a fast bowler. We had Alan Warner, again, West Indian, born in St Kitts, I think. Who was a fast bowler. We had Martin Jean-Jacques from Dominican Republic. We had Frankie Griffith, who was a Haringey boy from London. So they came from all over, and this was our bowling attack. We had Ole Mortensen, who was Danish. We had Peter Bowler, who was born in Plymouth but brought up in Tasmania as a batsman.
Peter Bowler, the batsman.
Peter Bowler was a batsman, opened the batting. So we had this, and we were known as the League of Nations. It was, and we had Bruce Roberts, who was born in Zambia.
See, that's the whole spirit of cricket that's kind of missing today.
I don't know, because I'm missing today. I mean, we still have overseas players. We still have players coming in from all over the world. But I think at that time, this was so unique that no other county had that sort of scenario. And Derbyshire, from 1988 to 1993, was probably Derbyshire's most successful period as a county. We won. We got to the final of the Benson Hedges Cup in '88. It's like getting to the FA Cup final. We won the Benson Hedges Cup in '93. We won the Sunday League in 1990. So in that period of time, and we were always there and thereabouts in the Championship, although we never won it, we were a team to be reckoned with and a force in the game because we had some good players.
Massive shout out to James Connors, Honor, Quetzal, Cutesal, who knows, as our main sponsors for season 2 of Pints of View. Now, Quetzal, guys coming through the busy marketplace, helping businesses buy the technology that is aligned with their strategies. No more buying tech to keep up with the Joneses, having a plan that makes it your ownses. We love what they're doing, especially with the telephony stuff at the moment. So, cheers, buddy. Really appreciate it. Use them.
So let's sort of fast forward. How did your career go from Derby through to getting that England call up? What's kind of put you on that sort of fast track to get you there?
Well, it certainly wasn't fast track. I was told many a time that I was a good player, and you believe what you believe. But I enjoyed county cricket. I enjoyed the social element of county cricket. We travelled a lot. I got mates in the game. Did I take it as seriously as probably I should have done as an early age? Maybe not. But I always had an ambition to, again, go back to my father, who said, play at the highest level. Yeah. Always play at the highest level if you can. And the highest level, of course, was to play for England.
Yeah.
Now, that was my goal. At some point, something clicked. Instead of being a flashy player, I became a more consistent player and started to, generate big runs. So I think in 1980, it was either 88 or 89, I can't quite remember, I was the second highest run scorer in the country in first class cricket. So, I'd done okay.
Who was ahead of you?
Who was ahead of me? I genuinely can't remember. I was disappointed. I always remember being disappointed that I hadn't become the highest run scorer. Who it was, I don't know. Can't remember. But
there were plenty behind you.
Yeah, but I was up
name
there.
many of them.
It doesn't matter if you're in the top 10. You're in there, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, and I remember joining the squad in 1988 as a young up-and-coming player. Mike Gattin was captain. Ian Botham, Gower, Lammy. But my old mate Neil Fairbrother was in that squad as well. And they brought me in just to be around the squad. I wasn't never going to play. And Neil made his debut in that test match, which was great because, we both played Cheshire Schoolboys together. And that was at Old Trafford against Pakistan, ironically.
Isn't it funny that you mentioned that being at Old Trafford? Because I don't know if you've seen the Beckham documentary and how Sir Alex brought Beckham into the changing room.
That's right.
Just to hang around the players.
Absolutely.
At Old Trafford.
I did see it.
To get used to it.
Yeah.
So you... The David Beckham.
Hardly, I wish. But the reality of it is you learn by being around good players and listening to how people talk and how the game's played. And 5-day test matches and 3-day county games were a million miles apart in many respects. So I look back on that. But then, as I say, I think it must have been 89 when I finished the second highest run scorer in the country. But I didn't get selected for anywhere. I didn't go to the West Indies, which was the main tour, because I told I didn't have enough experience for it. And then the A tour, which used to be commonplace back in those days, was like a second team tour, was to Zimbabwe, but I had far too much experience for that. And you just think...
It's quite important for you, your income and your cash flow.
Absolutely, from a professional's perspective. You want that recognition, you want that winter income. So I was hugely disappointed with that, and I think that winter... I think I just got my mindset that next year I was going to get even more runs. And I had a great start to the season. I remember getting run after run after run at Taunton, ironically. We played them in a Benson Hedges qualifying game. I got 100. We then went down there for a championship game and a Sunday league game, and I got 100 in both innings in the championship and 100 on the Sunday. So I'd had 4 innings in less than a month at Taunton and scored 400s. And I came back from that trip and I got a phone call from Ted Dexter, who was the chairman at the time. No mobile phones, he rang me at home. I always say...
You're at home with Eddie?
No, I had my own house in Derbyshire by that point. And to say I'd been selected for the first test at Lord's against India, which was that...
That's a strong...
That's
a strong first game as well.
Absolutely. Amazing test match as well, because... Graham Gooch got 333 in the first innings. I sat on the balcony for 2 days watching him score all these runs,
In pads?
In pads, I got pad rash, no doubt. I was just a man for a crisis at 644 for 5, or 4. I only went into bat because Robin Smith was 90-something not out, and they wanted him to get his 100, and then we declared. I got 4 not out, and that was my innings, that was it. But it felt great that I'd played for my country, and I'd had a test match. We won the test match, we drew the next test and then the third test. Gucci kept getting runs and I didn't really get much of an opportunity except from the last test where they put me up the order a little bit, and I got 30 something and I was unlucky. I got caught behind down the leg side, and if you play the game it's one of those deaths that you just go, oh my God, how's that happened, and I was just starting to feel confident and get going, and I was out, and that was it. And then they selected me for Australia. Again, it was a nervous period because, to go to an Ashes tour is what it's all about.
This wasn't the Tiger Moth.
Oh yes, that was the Tiger Moth. Yeah, that came in. So there's no doubt that came in.
So should we do it?
Yeah, why not?
Well, it's like the journey to get there, and then getting the Tiger Moth.
Well, you get selected, and you're euphoric about it. Euphoric about it. Euphoric? That's the word I'm looking for. And I'd say an Ashes tour, with all due respect, do you want to go to India or to Pakistan or to the West Indies and get your head blown off, by all these fast bowlers, and Australia, the history, the Ashes, everything is part of it. And I couldn't believe that I'd been selected in many respects. And you get on the plane, you're part of 16 men who were going to represent England on a tour. We were away for 4 months, in fact 4.5 months. It wasn't like a little tour, We then went on to New Zealand from there for 3 weeks afterwards. And I started off in the team. I started off okay. I got a score in the first game against the Presidents in a one-day game, Presidents 11. Played okay. Me and Alex Stewart won the game for England. And then got selected for the next game, which was against Western Australia at the Wacker, and didn't get any runs. I say didn't get any. I probably got 30 in 2 knocks. I can't quite remember. And then I got left out. I didn't play again then for a while prior to the first test. And when the first test was announced, I wasn't in the team. So it was a bit of a kick, having played the previous 3 test matches.
Yeah.
Why I didn't stay in the team, because I hadn't done really anything wrong, I didn't think. But not selected, and you just get on with it from that moment. We lost that test match in 3 days. We got battered. We then went.
That will teach them.
Yeah, well, you don't. You see, when you're part of a squad, you don't think that way, do you?
Yeah, no.
You want the team to do well, obviously.
Yeah.
But so the second test then would have been, that was at the Gabba. The second test then was at Sydney. The second test I think then was at Melbourne, which would have been the Boxing Day test match, which we lost again. David Gower had played brilliantly. No, it was Sydney first. Gower got 100 at Sydney. It's one of the best 100 you'll ever see. Played out of his skin. And we had a chance of winning it, but we couldn't get the last pair out. And it just got to ridiculous where we wanted 25 overs to get 180 or something. And we had a go, but we were never going to win it. Then we went to Melbourne. So we're 1-0 down after 2. Go to Melbourne. We lose that test match. David had got injured. He'd hurt his wrist, and he was in great form. And they said, if he's not fit, you play. And then I was wandering around the ground thinking, am I in, am I out? I don't know, And then I just got this sort of like look from Gooch, and he went, David's playing. I was delighted at the fact that our best team was going to be out there, or in my opinion, the best player at that point. But I was devastated that I didn't play, because Boxing Day test match, 100,000 people at the MCG.
Yeah, no,
you want it on your CV.
You want to break into his room and hit him with the bat. I mean, that's what you want to do.
Well, yeah, good point. But I didn't play, and that was it really. And then prior to the 4th test, which was going to be in Adelaide, we played up country. We went up to Queensland, and we played at a place called Carrara on the Gold Coast. A lot of people watch I'm a Celebrity.
Named after Porsche, no doubt.
Well, I think maybe the Porsche might have been named after Carrara, I don't know. But, but so you watch I'm a Celebrity, so you see where they all come to at the beginning.
Why are people rubbing this in? Just because I got said no? Unbelievable.
I didn't realise that. Well, there you go.
Cheers.
So where they walk off the buildings and those hotels and they do all those tests prior to going into the jungle, that's Carrara, that's the Gold Coast. And Carrara Stadium is just set back from there. It's where they had the Commonwealth Games a few years ago. Brisbane Bears used it as a Australian football stadium, big ground, but they also played cricket there. And we had this game, 4-day game against Queensland, warm-up game prior to the 4th test. Graham Gooch came to me and said, would you bat at 3, my preferred position? And I said, of course I would. I got 132, played brilliantly, I played brilliantly. I'm blowing smoke where it shouldn't be blown, but you get 132 against a team like Queensland, which was the Australian test attack, really.
Yeah.
So I think I played quite well. Gucci and I put a load on together, and then on the second day, just after I got out, for 2 days these Tiger Moths had been buzzing around the ground. 2 planes, 1938 Tiger Moths, little aerodrome just by the ground, literally next door. And I went up for lunch and overheard David Gower and Alan Lamb discussing the two 1938 Tiger Moths. Now, we'd already said that we were going to bat till tea. Robin Smith was 90-something not out. Lammy was batting with him. So David just said, well, I'm going to go up in one of the planes. And I said, well, there's two. Do you need a co-pilot? Thinking it was absolutely fine, not thinking for 1 minute that it was going to cause the furore that it did. And we literally...
it did?
Oh, I'm well aware. And we went across the road. Can you believe one of the pilots was called Bruce? An Australian called Bruce. He knew who David Gower was, I hadn't got a clue who I was. We hired him to take off literally just as the guys came back out to play. Big electronic scoreboard, R.A. Smith, 101, as we buzzed the ground, perfect timing. And we came in at 150 feet above the sight screens. And Lammy knew it was us. He was the only one that knew because he'd had that conversation with David. And he gave it the old machine gun. It was like to shoot us down with his bat. And we flew from one side of the ground to the other. And there was rugby posts at one end as well. We flew between those rugby posts. And off we went for literally 20 minutes and landed the aeroplanes. One guy, a photographer, a friend of ours, Graham Morris, who was a tour photographer. It was always comical with Graham because I'd always end up with his photographic gear in my room and he'd have all my cricket gear in his room when we checked into hotels. In fact, interesting story about Graham Morris, the Enfield haunting. He's the photographer that worked on for the press that covered that, which had just been released, I think, on a new series on that. That's a true story. Oh, it's a quite scary story about a poltergeist in Enfield. Anyway, I digress.
Stay with us here.
I digress.
Big shout out to all Hapstar, Darren, Adam, Dan, and of course Stinkerbell. Now, what is happiness to you? Imagine Hapstar being a unique tool that helps staff be happier, a genuine and proven scientific approach to compel staff to stay longer, get to that magic third year. And we all know happy people make you money. It's absolutely fucking brilliant as a tool. You've got to check it out. It's a game changer. Smile and dial, Hapstar, it's emotional.
Well, I come back to the ground with David. We've had a couple of pictures taken with Graham Morris. And then the other press photographers, Graham had gone back and said, you know, it was John Morris and David Gower in the planes. Oh. So one of the guys asked if you could go back and do some pictures for them, which we did. And I think that's what annoyed the hierarchy more than anything. I remember...
Was it not being there for the team?
Yeah.
Not supporting the team?
Yeah, I think
just
so.
Just taking the piss? One of the most important...
Yeah, the other thing that is going on the tour, that it's been well publicised, so I'm not telling any untruths here, that Graham and David had not hit it off as well as David's a former captain of England, Gucci's the current captain. There was an edge going on. There was a couple of times where things were said probably that shouldn't have been said. Gucci wasn't exactly...
Give us examples.
But I can't.
Right.
But David was playing so well. He'd got 200s in 3 test matches. You can't leave him out the team. So there was a bit of edge going on. And of course, he's involved in this incident. I'm the tag along, really.
Poor John Morris.
Yeah, so at the end of the day's play, it's sort of gone round that what we've done. Tuffers and all those lads, Big Dev, and we're having a laugh about it and what have you. And Michael Atherton had said something that he got asked first. I think that's absolute crap. And I've no reason to say that he didn't get asked, but how he got asked I do not know, because I was the only one that passed them at the right time. So was I unlucky? I don't know. But we were away for 20 minutes, came back, literally everything had kicked off. I was sent back to the hotel. David had disappeared. He'd gone out for dinner with David Frith, who was the editor for the Cricketer magazine, for dinner. No mobile phones, can't get hold of anyone. You don't know where he's gone. And I get pulled into the team room with Gooch, Mickey Stewart, Alex Stewart's dad, who was the tour manager, tour coach.
This is not going well.
Peter Lush, who is the tour manager, and Lammy. And I just remember saying to him, listen, guys, this was a bit of fun. Don't overreact on this. Make a laugh out of it, bit of team spirit type thing. And I sort of left the room, and Gucci came with me. It was in the lift as we went back down. He said, not happy about this, really not happy about it. And I thought, I'm in trouble here. Next morning, David knocks on my door at 8 o'clock in the morning, and he says, I think we're in a bit of bother. I said, well, I've gathered that. Leave it with me, I'll get it sorted. Well, let me tell you, it took them a week to decide that what we were going to do. There was talk in the press that we were going to get sent home from the tour for breaking tour rules, ill-disciplined, undermining management. And you just think, my God, how has this come to this? You know, first tour. We went to Adelaide. I remember getting off the bus, checking into my hotel, my room, phone ringing in my room. Can you come to Gucci's room? And we walked in, and we were given a statement saying that both players will be fined £1,000, and that'll be the end of the matter. Oh. Now you've got to remember, £1,000 in those days was a lot of dollar. In fact, it was the most you could get fined on tour. And we'd flown an aeroplane. Now, a couple of years previous to that, Chris Broad had kicked the stumps down in Pakistan in frustration and all this sort of stuff. You know, it never got a fine like that. I love Broad, don't get me wrong.
But a lot of people might have seen that plane.
Yeah. So, I don't know. You just think to yourself, did the crime fit the punishment?
Did you make it to a tour again after?
No. So that was it. I never played for England again after that. And I'd played in all the one-day games, 8 one-day internationals on that tour against New Zealand and Australia. I was asked to bat in every position from 1 to 6. I got runs in some games, I didn't get in others. And I averaged 27 in one-day cricket on that tour in the 8 one-day internationals, and I averaged nearly 40 in first-class games I played. Now, if that's your first tour against us in a country like Australia, it's not bad. It's not bad.
It's proper, yeah.
But that was it. And it was done. And I knew when I came home that my days were done. Because Mickey Stewart moved on from the position of coach-manager, and Keith Fletcher took over. And I got a score down at Cheltenham against Courtney Walsh and Sid Lawrence. And Keith Fletcher had taken over, and he said, mate, West Indies this winter. Are you up for that? Because you've just played them brilliantly. 2 fast bowlers of repute.
Didn't happen.
Never even got a mention. And I scored runs on that in that year. So I knew my time was done. So it was that point I realised then that I needed a new challenge. Derbyshire won the 1993...
I don't think that's fair.
Hola, and thank you to Camino Partners for sponsoring Pints of View Series 2. Now, Camino Partners are the ultimate staffing providers for UK and European recruitment back office talent. That includes finance, marketing, and everything in between. They own the scene between the scene. Also, Harry Houston doing the consultancy piece. Big fan. There is a link in the normal show notes as ever. Call them, we love them. And Sachin, thank you, mate.
Is it true that Robin Asquith rented a plane and had a banner hanging out the back of it that said Gower and Morris are innocent?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, did he do that?
Absolutely. And I was totally unaware of it, by the way.
I love that. Right, we're going to go fast.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Is it also true that you bowled the final ball after 6 days of bowling and all of the attack were totally on their asses, that you bowled the ball to Brian Lara to beat the world record for the biggest number of...
Correct. 501 he got against Durham, 1994.
Because obviously you've been known as a bowler all your life.
8 first-class wickets at 112 apiece or whatever
that
it was.
Brilliant. Yeah. How good was that day? And I'm sure you would have had loads of this, but we're at John Paul Getty's house, where it was his 11 versus Sri Lanka. They came over, played one test, and played at his house and fucked off.
Yeah.
How good was that day?
Well, they were great days at Getty's. They still are. The ground's still there. The family have done a great job keeping it all going in his honour. And I still get invited to days out there to this day, which is lovely.
It's an amazing house. Actually, it's, somebody who used to work for me, his wife's grandmother sold the house to them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's old money for
there
you.
you go.
Right, I'm going to do a quick golf test, and then we'll do a couple of fun things. I'm going to ask you some positions, orcs, and you're going to tell me what they are. You all right with that?
Okay.
Some of these are really easy. Some of them a little bit. What's a Chinaman?
Chinaman, left-arm bowler who bowls it out the back of the hand like a leg break bowler would be for...
True! That's unbelievable. Okay. Gully,
wide-ish sort of catching position on the offside.
Okay. Dorser. D-O-O-R.
Doosra.
Doosra.
Dooser is a relatively new delivery that's been brought in by the Asian spin bowlers, where the ball looks like it's going to turn one way but goes the other.
It's Urdu.
Urdu, is that what?
Yeah, it's Urdu, and it's kind of reflective of something that they expect to go one way, but actually goes the other way.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's like some of my wives. Silly long off.
Silly long off doesn't
Yeah.
exist.
Fielding position in cricket often have unique names based on their location. Silly long off is a such term. It refers to a fielding position that is close to the batsman and positioned almost directly in line with the batsman's off stump, middle stump for the left for the batsman viewpoint. This position considered fucking silly.
Well, yeah,
Because
but
you're going to get absolutely
silly
long.
mid off is the actual term for it.
What? Are you having an argument with?
I'm
just had a
talking to
career
your
in
phone.
that.
I'm
You've had a
talking to your
career
phone.
with that. and
Silly mid off, not silly long off. Long off is when he's on the boundary, so he can't be silly, can he?
A Yorker.
When it gets bowled right by the batsman's toes in the block hole.
A Beamer.
When it doesn't pitch and comes straight at your head. Can go on all day like this.
Brilliant. Cow corner.
Cow corner, well, they tend to use where the batsman would slog it onto the leg side. It would be known as cow corner.
Okay, so is it your middle name, Slugger?
Yeah.
If in doubt.
Slog it.
Mankadin.
Mankad.
Mankading. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when the bowler runs into bowl, doesn't deliver the ball, pretends to deliver it, the batsman walks out of his crease, who's the non-striker, leaves his crease, and they take the wickets off. And
Okay,
that's called
my
a mankad.
favourite position. Night watchman. Right, black hole.
Black hole?
Yeah.
Block hole.
Block hole, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing on the bottom of your bat.
Black hole. I'll be honest with you.
the same thing.
In porn. Okay, I think we'll leave it there. Right, because the rest of it was just so easy. John, congratulations on an amazing career in cricket. Thank you very much. We could do that all day long, but we haven't got time because the builders are trying to get back in.
Boom, boom, and thank you to all that CapEx at Stan Cap's FX business. Took ages to come up with that name, OVS. Managing your foreign currency at the bank is a mug's game. Done right, it can be an additional profit centre. CapEx is Dan Cap's Anco. Great guy, scratch golfer, moneymaker extraordinaire, the one I choose personally. Links in the normal show notes. Dan, see you on the golf course soon.
I've got 12.
18-year-old me.
Yeah.
Can't remember that far back.
Choose football. It's way more money. 1 to 12. Pick a number.
9. Always wanted to be a centre forward.
This is really deep.
Oh.
What would you change about you?
What would I change about me? Crikey. I wish I was a bit taller and wish I had hair. How about that for a...
Well, I'm working on both of those things. So
Could always get to Turkey.
I'm on my third hairdo,
Oh, yeah?
and this ain't coming off because I look like a shithead. Right. What is your superpower? So me, it's generally
Superpower?
like energy and...
Drive. Yeah, I've always wanted to do more.
Brilliant. No, I can't ask you that because you haven't got one. Oh, yeah, a mantra or philosophy that you live by.
No regrets, don't look back.
Okay, you know I've got this thing up in my house in Ibiza, which Sid Rotten said, because fuck regrets.
Yeah.
It's too much.
And it's absolutely right. Why look at what you could have done, should have done, would have done, when it's already happened? So what's the point?
18-year-old. So if we went back in time, John, what advice... It's the best one. What advice would you give to the 18-year-old you, apart from, don't get in the plane, John?
Well, don't get in the plane. I wish I'd have been savvier as an earlier, having played cricket, and I got paid nicely as a cricketer. I always described it as a champagne lifestyle on a beer income, but I used that beer income to do fun things. I wish I'd have invested in property or done something that was always going to be there for future life. Now that's a very deep and meaningful sort of answer.
Nice,
but
a good one.
I had the money to be able to do things like that, I suppose, but just didn't bother. And
No,
so if I was savvy, back then, that's what I would have said to myself.
Stink asked me what mine would be, and I said I wish I saved 50% of my commission or bonuses all the way through my life, because I wouldn't have to do this shit.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Right, okay, I love that. It's very honest, as you have been throughout all this. Go on then, let's do the desert island. So this is a fast round, quick round for us to know a little bit more about you, the man, the myth, the legend. So you've got to be quick.
Okay.
So you're allowed one of each one of these. So one wish.
As I said earlier, probably I wish I'd been savvier with financial world.
Can't do that, said it once before. Can't say family.
Crikey. One wish. I wish I was healthier in some respects. How about that?
Oh.
A few things going on that I could look back on and say, maybe if I'd have done something earlier in my life, I could be better, healthier.
Have another pint, you'd be right. Name somebody that we know that couldn't say that about themselves.
Well, maybe true.
Different. One prediction.
One prediction, England will win another World Cup.
In
which sport?
Yeah, darts.
Well, I'm just going to throw all three out there, in rugby, in cricket, and at the World Cup football.
Laughing Boy has already predicted that England are going to win.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I mean, that's strong, isn't
but
it?
I'm having 3 goes at it.
Okay, 3-1. You have changed. The best moment you've ever had. Don't say family, don't say kids.
Well, I could say, but that would be the first choice on the top of my head. Best moment, getting my England call up, getting that phone call to tell me that I was going to represent my country.
Do you frame your hats?
Yes.
Your caps?
Yeah.
One do-over. So if there's a moment in life that you could potentially do something different with, what might it have been?
Probably worked harder as a younger bloke to make myself fitter and more respective of the game.
Do you reckon you would have got more runs if you'd worked on personal fitness and mental health and stuff?
Yeah, but that wasn't around in those days.
No,
you were just left to your own devices, really, and just had to stand on your own 2 feet. If I'd have known what I know now, I would have done things differently then. Yeah.
I'm going totally off piste here. You see young cricketers today, people getting in the game around England. What 2 or 3 bits of advice would you give to young cricketers to actually make something of themselves?
I don't know really, because the game's changed so much. I think they get it all so spoon-fed to them, all that what I was just talking about. But the advice I would give to anybody is make the most of it, because it's here 1 minute and it's gone the next. So I'm 59 now. It's 30 years since I played for England, but it seems like yesterday in many respects. But it's an eternity ago. And my career was only 2 minutes with the England team. So anybody that has that opportunity has got to grab it by both hands and make the most of it and bloody enjoy it. That's the other thing really that goes with it.
How do you make money on the IPL?
Be one of the best players. The world's a changing world in cricket. Franchise cricket is here to stay. The IPL has become huge. If I was playing now, I would have certainly concentrated on white ball cricket because the financial rewards are so big. When I play county cricket, we play for 6 months for a set contract for 6 months. These guys can earn £1 million plus for 6 weeks' work. And there's 3 or 4 tournaments throughout the year, throughout the countries, that you get picked up for, and you can earn serious dollar.
One person you miss... One person you wish you could have or would like to meet?
I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of famous people in many respects. But I suppose I would look at the music world and probably go to somebody like Elvis Presley or something like that, Michael Jackson, Frank Sinatra.
You said Michael Jackson.
Oh, right, okay. Well, they're all dead, you see, so we can't meet them. So, just somebody of that nature, such a big artist of the day, to have JFK. I'd like to actually have met him.
Do you know what? I've had 1 Hitler and 2 Michael Jacksons. I think all my mates are all wrong uns. There's something wrong with everyone that I know. That's really random. One food that you have to eat for the rest of your life?
Steak and chips.
Oh, same. Okay. That's because you like South Africa.
Correct.
A mantra that you live by?
Look forward. Don't never look back. As I said earlier, it's life's to live in, and go forward with it each day.
And finally, one luxury item that you can't live without?
Well, I suppose a lot of people would say their phones these days.
You said phone, yeah. Just,
but
I shouldn't let people get away with phones.
I would change that and just go slightly off piece with that and just say my earphones, because I love my music. So without my earphones, I can't listen to it.
So I don't listen to music. I have to have the TV on because it's my best friend, because I grew up pretty much as an only child. And I like having just things going on and chats going on. John, are we there? Brilliant. Thank you very much, Skipper. John, you've been absolutely delightful. You're a lovely human being. You mean so much to the family. Everyone is really incredibly proud of you and all that you've achieved. I still remember in your testimony that you literally 24 stone, leapt like a salmon to catch a ball that nobody thought you were going to catch. You came down literally, I thought you were going to break him to pieces, and you still held the ball.
I remember that.
It was funny, wasn't it? It was unbelievable.
Nobody was more surprised than everybody in the room apart from me.
It's unbelievable catch. Really proud of you. Thank you very much for giving up your time to come all the way down to do this. Really appreciate it. All the best to Sally, Tom, and Ronnie. But as with all the time that we do this, we always like to give our guests the last word. So is there anything you'd like to ask? Anything you'd like me to ask you that you think I might have forgotten about? Should we talk about the wine bars? What would you like to, if you want to come and see you face to face and get more of your stories, because there's loads of them.
Yeah, I'm very rarely in the wine bars, that's for certain, because you can't drink all the profits, I'm afraid.
It's a little bit like my mate Bill. It's very difficult to get him in the pub. It's impossible to get him out.
Yeah, exactly. What do I finish on? How about, I don't know really. My life's just in a different place all of a sudden, so I can't really think of something that's profound enough to make it worthwhile, really. I'm a 59-year-old bloke who's looking for the next challenge, and cricket was my life. I love my sport, I love my friends, I love my family, but in reality you've still got to move forward, and that's where I sit, really. So I'm looking for the next challenge.
You're halfway.
Yeah,
smashed
absolutely.
It. John Morris, thank you very much. James, thank you very much for producing this. Peace and love, everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Gary.